I would do things today. I will do things today. I will do things... Oh, fuck, we're recording. Hey. One of those slow and lazy days is best cured by thrash. Motherfucking thrash music, ladies and gentlemen. Coverkiller Nation. And it just so happens that we have 4 Empires Collapse by Warbringer. Warbringer, yeah. I haven't heard from these guys in a while. A couple years it's been, ever since their last album, Worlds Torn Asunder, came out. And that was an excellent disc. I really like these guys. They are a great product from the west coast of the United States of America. And they delivered this very cool, take on thrash, which is very much in vein of the older thrash bands that you've heard for millions and trillions of years. However, they kind of have a new school attitude to it. They are part of the thrash revival right here in America. And with their 4th album, they're now 4 albums in. If we want to go by the Metallica tracker, that's Wait a Second, Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets. This would be the Injustice for All of Warbringer's career. It doesn't really play out that way, however, because we all know where the timeline ranks for the Metallica-ology, but we're not going to go with that metaphor because it's not exactly what happened here. Now, they did lose a member. They lost, I believe, their drummer, who decided to pursue educational interests, so good on him, and best of luck in your future endeavors whenever you go to school and finish school and pursue your career. We here at the Coverkiller Nation definitely say thumbs up to education, but thumbs up even higher to really awesome music. This is an album that is 41 minutes in length, 11 tracks long, and the very first thing that I'm wondering before I even start this album is the time frame between Worlds Torn Asunder and the new album going to play a critical effect? Is it going to be something where their songwriting doesn't feel as tight? Is something going to seem loose? Is there going to be a little bit of rust? There's certainly been a lot that has kind of happened ever since the last album came out between then and now. So it left us with a lot of questions about what the new material was going to sound like. We knew it was going to be thrash metal. They weren't going to come back and all of a sudden be fucking a country band. But we also wondered the tightness. We also wondered the freshness. How is it going to sound? And I do enjoy the freshness of this band and this album. I think that they still continue on a good route of really just being a great, new, invigorated form of a thrash band here in the 2010s, starting off in the 2000s, really trying to hold the banner high for the next generation of thrash bands. This is basically generation number 4 in the thrash catalog, if you really want to think about it, with the first 2 coming in the 1980s, early 1990s, and the 3rd one kind of paving the way a little bit prior to the huge revival that has taken place in the 2000s unto current. So, I listened to tracks such as One Dimensional, and I listened to a track like Horizon, the opening track, and immediately I feel a little bit of a different take on the whole thing, a different whole idea and everything like that, because you have, really strong openers on their previous affairs, and then with this one, while it is also strong, it's strong in a different way. It's got a little bit more of a different melody to it. It's got a little bit more of a sense to it, and that inner sensibility is something that usually really helps a band, and it really helps them with this. And as you continue forward with the remainder of this album, you definitely notice that sensibility kind of taking over at some points in time. This is definitely an album that's filled with great riffage. It's filled with great music, but it's the one thing that for me that I noticed, at least as a singer/lyricist myself, is the fact that I felt as though at some points in time the lyrics were a little bit predictable. However, the vocalization and everything like that did not make it made it less distracting because it was all just done very, very well. The only thing that some people may be turned off a little bit by is his highs, the absolute high register here that you hear emitted. It's an every so often thing, so it's not really all of that present. However, whenever it happens, it kind of throws you off guard a little bit. It's almost like he's trying to do a Tom Araya script, his best impersonation of the Slayer frontman, and it just doesn't work out quite as well. It kind of comes off a little bit shrill, but at the same time, it's still really fits the moment, really fits the song. It's really kind of badass, and I kind of dig it. Overall, this album flows very nicely. I don't really have the same feeling towards this, though, as I do their earlier work. I almost feel as this one's just a slight little bump in the road. And I'm not really too sure why that is. The more that I listen to this, the more I try to examine myself as opposed to the album and try to dictate exactly why I feel that this is sort of a weaker point, because it's still a very aggressive and very, very fitting album. It's definitely one that still maintains a high level of thrash knowledge, not to mention thrash know-how. So as practitioners of the thrash metal genre, they certainly have not struggled or really lost any sort of invigoration, talent, or ability. It just seems as though this is an album that whenever you compare them to the first three, it just doesn't seem to pack the same wallop. And maybe there's that idea out there that we've come to know Warbringer, we've come to become very used to them, so perhaps this one just doesn't have the same effect as perhaps the first three have. With the first three albums, you wonder if they're able to continue to grow their sound, not to mention also grow their own personalities, and also become able to quell the trend and able to really make thrash and make their version of thrash new, different, and exciting with each passing record. And I feel that while they still have done that with this album, there's definitely an evolution in their songwriting. There has definitely been an enhancement in their songwriting. I just don't know if that evolution packs the same wallop as the three previous evolutions did with their first three albums. I don't know. I think that that's principally the reason why I'm finding this to be a little bit less favorable than Worlds Torn Asunder. Why I really am still a big fan of Waking the Nightmare, the stuff that they put out initially. Whereas this album for me is kind of on the weaker side, one that I would probably put near the bottom part of their 4-album catalog thus far. However, you have to understand, whenever I say that about a band like this, where I have found favor in basically all 4 of their albums overall, just to have this be near the bottom isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just means that I find favor with some of the others just a little bit more. I would probably give this album a 7.5 out of 10. I really think that it has some strong songwriting, and I think that the flow is excellent. I just feel as though there's not as much for me to really be excited about with this album. I feel that I've kind of heard the formula before. I've kind of been able to read into it a little bit as much as I can. The lyricism is a little weak. The musicality is still strong, but overall, it's just not something that really surprised me or packed the wallop. It didn't catch my world on fire, and that's the reason why I have you guys in the nation. I want you guys to tell me in the comments below what you guys thought about this album. Did you like this album? Did it set your world on fire? And if it set your world on fire, I want you guys to tell me exactly how it did that. How is this album one that really just shattered your world and set it on fire and made it something special? I still have to give my hails and my compliments to the boys in Warbringer for producing a very, very good album. Nonetheless, you guys are awesome. These guys are an amazing band to see live. They like to hover around the audience after their set is over, so definitely check these guys out live if you have the opportunity. And if you have already done that, why don't you share a concert memory in the comments below also. Cover Killer Nation out. We'll talk to you guys later.